So, good evening, everybody. A warm welcome to the session. As you know, we are going through a rapid revision program. On the board, you can see there are assertion reasoning type of questions. So, today I'm going to take you through photosynthesis through assertions and reasoning. And this is a really good way of revising the chapter in depth. So those students who has got really good understanding of a particular chapter, they can only do assertions and reasonings properly. So without any delay, let's start off the question. So let's see the first question. What is the assertion? Hydrogen ions that are produced by the splitting of water accumulate within the lumen of the thylakoids. As you know, photolysis occurs in the lumen of the thylakoid. Photolysis occurs in the lumen of the thylakoid, where water is split into electrons, protons, and a nascent oxygen. Okay, so the first statement is true. Splitting of water molecules takes place on the inner side of the thylakoid membrane. So if you ask me, why do protons accumulate in the lumen? Because the water splitting complex is present towards the inner side of the thylakoid membrane, and that's the reason why the protons are accumulated in the lumen of the thylakoid. So both assertion and reasoning are true, and indeed it is the right explanation of the assertion. So answer will be A. Both are true and it is the right explanation. Clear? Hello students, please go through the question. So both are true as a statement and it is the right explanation as well. Let's go to the next question. The light harvesting complexes are made of hundreds of pigment molecules bound to proteins, which is true as a statement. Next, the single chlorophyll B molecule forms the reaction center of the photosystem. As you know, it is a blunder. So it is not chlorophyll B, it is rather chlorophyll A. Okay, forms the reaction center. So this is false as a statement. So what will be your answer? The answer will be the third one, that is assertion is true and reason is false. Am I clear? Hello? Let's go for the next question. Except for plants in shade or in dense forest, light is rarely a limiting factor in nature for photosynthesis, which is true as a statement. Light saturation for photosynthesis occurs at 10% of the sunlight, which is true as a statement. So both are true and it is the right explanation as well. So if you ask me, so why it is a right explanation? Except for plants in shade or in dense factor, light is rarely a limiting factor. Why so? Because for photosynthesis, all we need is, okay, roughly about 10%, which is easily available in the environment, and that's the reason why it is the right explanation. So answer will be both are true as the statement and it is a right explanation as well. Clear, guys? Hello? Am I clear? Let's see the next question. The whole scheme of transfer of electrons in ETS of thylakoid membrane starting from PS2 to NADP plus is called as Z scheme. So this is your photosystem 2, this is your photosystem 1. So when sunlight falls on both the photosystems, they get excited, okay, through the series of electron carriers, Okay, the electrons reaches photosystem 1, and from here finally the electrons will reach to the NADP plus, so that it will be reduced to NADPH plus H plus. So it accepts electrons and it also accepts protons, so that NADP plus will be reduced to NADPH plus H plus. So first assertion as a statement, it is true. Z shape is formed when all the carriers of Z scheme are placed in a sequence on a redox potential scale. So this is very, very important. So when you place these on a reduction potential scale, then a typical Z scheme is observed. In reality, there is nothing as Z scheme within the chloroplast. So when you place these on a redox potential scale, then you observe such a kind of uphill and downhill transfer of electrons. So it is okay, both the statements are true, both the statements are true, okay, and it is a right explanation as well. So the answer will be A. Clear? Hello, are you guys clear? Next, photorespiration is a wasteful process, which is true as a statement. The photorespiratory pathway synthesizes 3 ATP and 2 NADPH. If it is synthesizing 3 ATP and 2 NADPH, why on earth I would call it as a wasteful process? Hello? Are you with me, guys? So the reason as a statement, it is wrong. Reason as a statement, it is wrong. So which would be your answer? C would be your answer. Hello? Next. Chlorophyll A is the chief pigment associated with photosynthesis. What did I say? Chlorophyll A is the chief pigment associated with photosynthesis, which is true. There is no ambiguity over here. The maximum absorption of chlorophyll A, is observed in the blue and the red regions of the spectrum, and these regions of light plants show higher rate of photosynthesis. So if you observe the action spectrum graph from the NCERT, okay, you will see something like this for the absorption, and it is here the maximum rate of photosynthesis occurs. So both the statements are true, and indeed it is the right explanation as well. So the answer will be A. Hello? Next, Cornelis van Niel demonstrated that photosynthesis is essentially a light dependent reaction in which hydrogen from a suitable oxidizable compound reduces carbon dioxide to carbohydrates. So Cornelis van Niel demonstrated that photosynthesis is essential, a light dependent reaction in which hydrogen from a suitable oxidizable compound is used to reduce carbon dioxide, which is true. Yes, Cornelis van Niel through his experiment inferred that oxygen evolved by the green plants come from carbon dioxide. Okay, nope, it comes from water, not from carbon dioxide. So this is wrong as a statement. So our answer would be C. The answer would be C. Chalo. Let's go for the next question. Rubisco enzyme has much greater affinity for oxygen when CO2 and O2 is nearly equal. Nah, it has got affinity towards carbon dioxide, okay, when they are present in equal amounts. So this is wrong as a statement. The relative concentration of oxygen and CO2 determines which of the two will bind to Rubisco. Yes, it all depends upon the relative concentration of oxygen and CO2. Okay, that who would bind to Rubisco? It all depends upon the relative concentration of O2 and CO2. So if both are equal, it prefers CO2. So the answer would be, the first one is wrong, the second one is right. So D would be our answer. D would be our answer. Assertion is false and reason is true. Hello guys, are you with me? Let's go for the next question. Let's go for the next question. Photosynthesis occurs only in green plants. Photosynthesis occurs only in green parts of the leaves in the presence of light. True as a statement? True as a statement? Hello? True as a statement? Ultimately, all living forms on the earth depend on sunlight for energy, which is 100% right. But is it explaining, okay, the statement? Is it explaining the statement, that is assertion? I don't think so. So I would go with B. I would go with B as the answer. I would go with B as the answer. Next, in C3 plants, CO2 fixation is increased due to the binding of oxygen to Rubisco. Arey bhai, if oxygen binds to Rubisco, what happens? What happens? Photorespiration occurs. Photorespiration occurs, which is a futile process. So how would there be, okay, carbon dioxide fixation increased? So it is wrong as a statement. It is wrong as a statement. It is wrong as a statement. In C3 plants, some oxygen does bind to Rubisco. Yes, that's the reason why. That's the reason why photorespiration occurs and form one molecule of phosphoglycerate and phosphoglycolate in a pathway called photorespiration, which is true as a statement. So our answer would be D. Our answer would be D. Am I clear, guys? Hello? Next, C4 pathway of carbon dioxide fixation is found in some tropical plants, which is true. Yes, it is found in some of the tropical plants. And this pathway, CO2 is first fixed by a C3 compound, which is phosphoenol pyruvate, PEP, by pepcase. So pepcase adds CO2 onto PEP. Clear? So, but it is not explaining why so. So, but both the statements are true. I would go with B as the answer. I would go B as the answer. Clear? Next. Productivity and yields are better in C4 plants in comparison to C3 plants, which is absolutely right. Which is absolutely right. In C4 plants, Rubisco function as oxygenase, minimizing the carboxylase activity. Na baba, na. In C4 plants, Rubisco strictly function as what? Carboxylase rather than a oxygenase. So this is wrong as a statement. It is wrong as a statement. So which will be our answer then? C would be our answer. Am I clear, guys? Hello? Are you guys with me? Let's see the next question. Let's see the next question. The splitting of water is associated with photosystem 2, which is true. Splitting of water creates oxygen, one of the net products of photorespiration. Nope. Nope. We don't talk about water splitting with photorespiration in the context. So it is wrong as a statement. So the answer would be 3, or the C will be your answer. C would be your answer. Am I clear, guys? Next, chlorophyll B, xanthophylls, carotenoids. Chlorophyll B, xanthophylls and carotenoids are called accessory pigments, which is true as a statement. Accessory pigment protect chlorophyll A from photooxidation, which is true, but it is not explaining why they are called as accessory pigments. Why? Because the reaction center is the main one. These pigments will play a subsidiary role. So that's the reason why they are called as accessory pigments, which is not being explained by the reason, but as a statement it is true. So the answer is B, both A and true, but it is not the right explanation or the correct explanation. So the answer for this particular question would be your B. Clear, guys? Next, let's see how many of you will answer this question. In cyclic photophosphorylation, the phosphorylation occurs due to the cyclic flow of electrons. Hello, no brainers. That's the reason why. That's the reason why it is called as cyclic photophosphorylation, which is true as a statement. In cyclic photophosphorylation, only PS1 is functional and the electron is circulated within the photosystem, which is true. Okay, is it explaining why it is called cyclic? Yes, it is circulating back. So I would say both the statements are true and it is giving a right explanation as well. So I'll go with A as the answer. Hello, bhai. Are you getting my point, what I'm trying to say? See this first assertion. In cyclic photophosphorylation, the phosphorylation occurs due to the cyclic flow of the electrons. Imagine this is your PS1. When it gets excited, it makes ATP on the way and the electrons are circulated back into the same reaction center. That's the reason why it is called as the cyclic photophosphorylation. So I would go with A as the answer. Next, let's see how many of you will answer this question. Next one. The membrane system in chloroplast is responsible for dark reaction. The membrane system in chloroplast is responsible for dark reaction. Arey bhai, membrane system, that means your thylakoids, which are responsible for light reaction. So they are not responsible for dark reaction. In that case, it can't be the answer. So the statement as such is a wrong one. The statement as such is a wrong one. Next, the dark reactions are not directly light driven but are dependent on the products of the light reaction, which is true as a statement. Hello? So what would be your answer? So this is right. So D will be your answer. Assertion is false. Reason is true as a statement. In Kelvin cycle, reduction is a series of reactions that led to the formation of RUBP. Let me read this once again. In Kelvin cycle, reduction. He is talking about reduction. So reduction results in the formation of the triose phosphate, right? Triose phosphate. Regeneration results in the formation of RUBP. So regeneration results in the formation of RUBP. Reduction results in the formation of the triose phosphate. Glyceraldehyde phosphate. So it is wrong as a statement. It is wrong as a statement. The reduction steps of Kelvin cycle involve utilization of two molecules of ATP, two molecules of ATP for phosphorylation and two molecules of NADPH for reduction. See, be very careful. If we ask as a Kelvin cycle on its whole, then we need to talk about 3 ATP and 2 NADPH. Since he is asking only for reduction, the answer will be 2 ATP and 2 NADPH. So he is asking for reduction and he says 2 molecules of ATP and 2 molecules of NADH, which is absolutely true. If you ask for the entire cycle, this would be your answer. So I would say A is false, R is true. So I'll pick up D. As your answer. Hello guys. Hello. Are you clear? Are you able to understand? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? Let's see the next question. In chemiosmosis of photosynthesis, as electrons move through the photosystem, protons are transported across the membrane. So in chemiosmosis of photosynthesis, as electrons move through the photosystem, protons are transported across the membrane. Yes, imagine this is your thylakoid membrane. While the electrons are being shuffled, okay, what will happen? Protons are transported, okay, into the lumen from the stroma, which we are saying across the membrane, which is true as a statement. Okay, I don't know how many of you are able to understand. This is your photosystem 2. This is your photosystem 1. Okay, let me explain with the same, like, okay, imagine this is your thylakoid. And this is your photosystem 2. This is your photosystem 1. So while electrons are being shuffled from this to this, what happens? Protons are pumped across the membrane. As you know, you need to increase the proton gradient concentration within the lumen of the thylakoid so that we can make ATP. I hope you recollect this entire topic from the photosynthesis. So this question as a statement is true. Okay, this is true. I hope you understand the explanation I'm trying to give over here. Let's see the reason. The primary acceptor of electron, which is located towards the outside, which is the primary electron acceptor for photosystem 2, which is pheophytin, which Baba is not talking about within NCERT. Pheophytin is the primary electron acceptor which is present towards the outer side of the membrane, which is, okay, clearly written. This entire statement I have taken it from the NCERT. So the primary electron acceptor, so-called pheophytin, is present towards the outer side of the thylakoid membrane, which transfers its electrons to PQ. Plastoquinone, which in fact is not an electron carrier rather than a hydrogen carrier. Okay, rather it is a hydrogen carrier. So the pheophytin, which is a primary electron acceptor of photosystem 2, gives its electrons to PQ, which is a hydrogen carrier rather than a electron carrier, which is true as a statement, and that's the reason why protons are being pumped. I would say both are right as a statement, and it is the right explanation as well. And it is the right explanation as well. Hello, guys, are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Please go through this. Whatever the statements you guys are seeing are direct NCERT lines. Are direct NCERT lines. These are not copied from anywhere. So these are direct NCERT lines. Next, let's see the next question. Let's see the next question. Kelvin pathway occurs in all photosynthetic plants, irrespective of whether it is a C3 plant or a C4 plant. There will be Kelvin cycle, which is true as a statement. Use of radioactive C14 by Kelvin in algal photosynthesis studies led to the discovery that the first CO2 fixation product was a C3 compound, which is true as a statement. But is it explaining why the C3 pathway occurs in every plant? I don't think so. It is not. So I would rather go with B. Both the statements are right, but it is not explaining the assertion as such. So 19th one. Okay, I think we are going through 19th question, which is B as a statement. Hello, let's see the next question, which is our 20th question. 20th question. Let's see the statements. During chemiosmosis within chloroplast, protons in the stroma decreases in the number. During chemiosmosis within chloroplast, protons in the stroma. So imagine this is your thylakoid. This is the lumen of the thylakoid, and this will be our chloroplast. If this is our chloroplast, what is this called as? This is called as stroma. So by any means, we need to increase the proton gradient within the lumen of the thylakoid. So obviously, within stroma, the proton gradient is less comparatively. So assertion as a statement is true. Assertion as a statement, it is true. Let's see the reason. Along with electrons that come from the acceptor of electrons of PS1, protons are necessary for the reduction of NADP to NADPH plus H+. These protons are also removed from the stroma, which is very, very true. So as you know, FNR is strategically located over here, okay, towards the outer side of the thylakoid membrane, where what happens? NADP plus is reduced to NADPH plus H plus by accepting the electrons from the photosystems and the protons from the stroma of the chloroplast, because of which the concentration will be reduced within the stroma, which is beautifully explaining the assertion as the statement. So I'll go A as the answer. I'll go with A as the answer, which is true. Hello? Hello? Am I clear? See the questions. Guys, assertion and reasonings, okay, exercises are the best way of revisions. Okay, assertion and reasoning is the best way of revision. Clear? Next. Let's see the next question. Let's see the next question. Proton gradient is important in photosynthesis, which is true. Arabai, without proton gradient, ATP synthase complex can't rotate. If that won't rotate, ADP and inorganic phosphate can't be combined. So first one, as a statement, it is true. Due to the breakdown of the proton gradient, why is it important? Why is it important? When this proton gradient is broken down, imagine this is your lumen of thylakoid, and this is what your ATP synthase complex is. This is your F0, this is your F1. The proton gradient that is created within the lumen of the thylakoid passes through the ATP synthase, especially the F0. It acts as a channel, and this F1 rotates, okay, and make ATP by combining adenosine diphosphate and inorganic phosphate, and gives us ATP. So in order to make ATP, we need to create proton gradient within the lumen of the thylakoid, okay, which is very, very important. So both the statements are true, and it is the right explanation of the assertion. So I'll go with A as the answer. Guys, go through. Am I clear? Is there anything wrong? Okay, are you guys following? See how many topics you are able to revise. Next. 22nd question. 22nd. Carboxylation is the fixation of CO2 into a stable organic intermediate, which is true as a statement. Which is true as a statement. Hello, bhai. Carboxylation is catalyzed by the enzyme RUBP carboxylase. ठीक है, यहां तक ठीक ही लग रहा है. Which results in the formation of 2-phosphoglycolate. Gaya Ram. Okay, so you need to read the entire statement properly. Okay, until here it is right. Okay, but which results in the formation of 2 molecules of phosphoglycolate. Then he is skipping into photorespiration. Okay, he's talking about carboxylation in Kelvin cycle, and then the second half of the statement gone into photorespiration. So which is wrong or false as a statement. So what would be the answer? C would be our answer. C would be our answer. Hello, ladies, not so gentlemen. Are you guys clear? Let's see the next question. Let's see the next question, which will be our 23rd question. Assertion. The primary CO2 fixation in C4 plants is done by PEP carboxylase in bundle sheath cells. In bundle sheath cells, you know, if you recollect this particular diagram, this is our mesophyll cells. This is our mesophyll cells, and these are our bundle sheath cells. So here pepcase is present. Here Rubisco is present. So let's read the statements once again. The primary CO2 fixation in C4 plants is done by PEP carboxylase, which is true. In bundle sheath cells, in mesophyll cells. So this assertion as a statement is wrong. यहाँ तक ठीक ही है भाई, but he is saying in bundle sheath cells. It should be mesophyll cells. So it is wrong as a statement. Okay, let's see the reason. As a statement, mesophyll cells in C4 plants lack rubisco enzyme. Mesophyll cells in C4 plants lack rubisco. Yes, कौन होता है यहाँ पे? Pepcase. Okay, where is rubisco present? In bundle sheath cells. So which is true as a statement. So assertion is false. Reason is true. So what will be our answer for the 23rd question? Will be the D. D. See it? So don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry. I know all of you want to complete bio as soon as possible and you need to move on to physics and chemistry, but it is bio that fetches you mark. So be careful. Give it due diligence while you are reading, especially assertion reasonings, statement based questions. Next, 24th question. 24th question. In C4 plants, photorespiration do not occur. Yes, that's the reason why they are more productive. In C4 plants have a mechanism that increases the concentration of CO2 at rubisco site. Yes, what is that mechanism? Okay, so where is from the previous slide? I would like to take the diagram once again. This is your mesophyll cells. This is our bundle sheath cells. So where is rubisco present? In the bundle sheath cells. How is it safe from oxygen? अरे भाई यहाँ पे photolysis होता ही नहीं. So if photolysis is not happening in bundle sheath cells, there won't be release of oxygen. If there is no oxygen, rubisco is safe. Now family safe. Anna 2, rubisco is safe from oxygen because in that site, okay, photolysis do not occur. अरे भाई समझ में आ रहा? Hello, am I clear? So what will be your answer? Both the statements are true. And it is the right explanation as well. Am I clear? Hello? Next question. 25th question. Assertion: the rate of photosynthesis is very important in determining the yield of plants, including crop plants. जितना ज्यादा photosynthesis होगा उतना ज्यादा yield होगा. Hello? If there is high rate of photosynthesis, what does it mean? That, okay, it means there is high productivity as well, and it holds good for all the plants, even including the crop plants. So as a statement it is true. Next, at any point the rate of photosynthesis will be determined by the factor available at suboptimal levels. Hello? Do you know law of limiting factor? What does it says? Any process, okay, and the rate of that process will be determined the factor that is present in the least amount. That is what the statement as a reason is saying, but this is not explaining, okay, about the rate of photosynthesis and rate of productivity. He should talk something about the carbon reduction, okay, and about the action spectrum. That would have been a better answer. So I would say both these statements are true, but it is not actually explaining assertion. So B will be your answer. Please go through. Okay, what are you Okay, thinking about these particular statements. Shall we move on to the next question? Shall we move on to the next question? That is your 26th question. That is your 26th question. So we're done with the assertion reasoning. Now I'm moving on to the statement based questions. And nowadays you are seeing in your grant test there are multiple statement based questions. So you need to read, okay, fast and precise as well. Let's read the statement. What is the first statement saying? Photosystem 2 is physically located on the inner side of the membrane of the thylakoid, which is true. The electrons needed to replace those removed from photosystem 1 are provided by photosystem 2. This is our Z scheme. ये तो दो है भाई, ये एक है. So the electrons, okay, will get excited, okay, when sunlight falls on the systems. Okay, what will happen when this gets excited? The electrons will be given to the, okay, photosystem 1. But when the sunlight falls onto this, it also loses electrons. Both loses electron, but both has to come back to the ground state. This photosystem 1 is coming back to the ground state from the electrons that is receiving from photosystem 2. How would photosystem 2 come back to the ground state? Thanks to what? Thanks to photolysis, which would release the protons, electrons and oxygen. So these electrons will be utilized to bring back the photosystem 2 to the ground state. So first one, okay, and the second one, both are right. So answer would be A. Hello, is there any confusion? Is there any ambiguity? This is like a genetic code. So genetic code, one of the salient features is it is non-ambiguous. Hello, ambiguity matlab confusion. So non-ambiguous matlab no confusion. So 26th question, okay, both these statements are right. Let's go for the next question. 27th question. Statement 1. Each photosystem has all the pigments except one molecule of chlorophyll A forming light harvesting complex, also called as antennae. True. Direct NCERT lines. True. The pigments found in antenna help to make photosynthesis more efficient by absorbing different wavelengths of light, which is true. Which is true as a statement. So both are true statements. Both are true statements. So answer will be A. Let's see the next question. 28th question. Next question. Statement 1. The reaction center is different in both the photosystems. Yes, एक का है P680, एक का है P700. So it is true as a statement. In PS1, the reaction center is called as P680, while in PS2, the reaction center is P700. No, bhai, the other way around. The other way around. So statement 2 is wrong, statement 1 is right. So what would be our answer? C. Okay, C would be our answer. Am I clear, ladies and not so gentlemen? Am I clear? Oh, not C. What I gave the answer over here is right. So this is right and this is wrong. So the answer will be B. Sorry. Next. Let's go for the next one. 29th question. Statement 1. The process through which ADP is synthesized by cells, including mitochondria and chloroplast, is named as phosphorylation. Yeah. Okay. In mitochondria, it is called as oxidative phosphorylation. Oxidative phosphorylation. Whereas in case of chloroplast, it is called as Photophosphorylation. But he's saying ADP. It should be ATP. So it is wrong as a statement. Clear? If it had been ATP, then it would be correct. So the 29th question, the answer will be, the first statement will be wrong. Or let's see the second one. What is he saying? Photophosphorylation is the synthesis of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate in the presence of light. Absolutely true. So the answer will be C. अगर यहाँ पे ATP लिखा होता, then statement 1 would have been correct as well. Next 30th question. When the two photosystems work in a series, first PS1 and then PS2, a process called non-cyclic photophosphorylation occurs. Which is true? When the two photosystems work in a series, first PS1, अरे भाई नहीं पहला दो बाद में एक, so it is wrong as a statement. Okay, both ATP and NADPH are synthesized in non-cyclic photophosphorylation. The answer would be C. A possible location where cyclic photophosphorylation could be happening is in the granule lamellae. A possible location where cyclic photophosphorylation could be happening is the granulum. He's asking cyclic, which occurs in stroma lamellae. Not in grana. So this is wrong as a statement. Stroma lamella members lack PS2 as well as NADP reductase enzyme. Absolutely. Okay, right as a statement. So the answer would be C. Please check the answer. Next, 32. Question number 32. Within the chloroplast, there is membranous system consisting of grana, the stroma lamella, and the matrix called stroma. See, so many students will misread this statement. They think that membranous system consists of grana, stroma, and matrix called stroma. No, what he's trying to say is that within chloroplast there is a membranous system consisting of grana, the stroma lamella, and the matrix called as stroma. He's not including that in the part of the chloroplast. So it is a direct statement from the NCERT. So I'll go the first statement as true. Let's see the second statement. Membrane or lamella of the grana have both PS1 and PS2. So what is he saying? He's talking about the grana thylakoids. He says these grana thylakoids usually have both PS2 and PS1. So this is also right. So both the statements are correct. Don't go by this word alone. He's saying lamella of the grana. Pay attention to the entire statement. Just don't mislead by one particular word. Next, 33rd question. Let's see. What is the first statement? The NADP reductase enzyme is located on the lumen side of the thylakoid membrane. No. If this is the chloroplast, if this is the thylakoid, strategically NADP reductase is present over the outer side of the thylakoid enzyme over here. So NADP reductase is present outside of the thylakoid membrane towards the stromal side, so that NADP will be reduced by utilizing protons from the stroma. Okay, so this is wrong as a statement. This is wrong as a statement. What is the second statement? The breakdown of proton gradient provides enough energy. The breakdown of the proton gradient provides enough energy to cause conformational change in the CF particle of the ATP, true so far, which makes the enzyme synthesize several molecules of energy packed ATP. Beautifully written. So this is also right. So first statement is incorrect, second is correct. So C would be our answer. C would be our answer. Am I clear? Hello? Hello? Am I clear? Let's see the next question. Let's see the next question. What is this question saying? The NADP reductase enzyme is located, the NADP plus enzyme is located on the luminal side of the thylakoid membrane. On the luminal side of the thylakoid membrane. No, it is present towards the stromal side, not the luminal side. So this is wrong. The breakdown of the proton gradient provides enough energy. Okay, I think I just done this question, right? I just done this question. No, let's see once again. The NADP reductase enzyme is located on the luminal side of the thylakoid membrane. Wrong. The breakdown of proton gradient provides energy. This is a repetition. This is a repetition. We just done this question. The ATP synthase enzyme consists of two parts. The ATP synthase enzyme consists of two parts. One is called CFO and another portion is called as CF1, which is true as a statement. Proton gradient is broken down due to the movement of protons across the membrane to the stroma through the transmembrane channel of the CFO of the ATP synthase, which is true. Both the statements are correct. Both the statements are correct. Next question. The use of energy from sunlight by plants during, not doing, okay, during photosynthesis. The use of energy from sunlight by plants during photosynthesis is the basis of life on the earth, which is true as a statement. Which is true as a statement. Next. Which is true, right? The use of energy from sunlight by plants during photosynthesis is the basis of life on earth, which is true. Photosynthesis is responsible for the release of oxygen into the atmosphere. So both are right. So A would be our answer. The use of energy from sunlight by plants during photosynthesis is basis of life. True. Photosynthesis is responsible for the release of oxygen into the atmosphere by the green plants. True. Let's go for the next one. Julius von Sachs performed a series of experiments. Julius von Sachs performed a series of experiments that revealed that essential role of air in the growth of green plants. I don't know. He didn't. In T.W. Engelmann experiment, in T.W. Engelmann experiment, in T.W. Engelmann experiment, aerobic bacteria were used to detect the sites of oxygen evolution around cladophora. So this is true as a statement. So what would be our answer? C would be our answer. C would be our answer. Next, the first action spectrum. The first action spectrum of photosynthesis was described by T.W. Engelmann. T.W. Engelmann. Statement 1 is true. The first action spectrum of photosynthesis resembles roughly the absorption spectrum of chlorophyll A and B, which is true. So both the statements are true. Okay, let's go for the next question. Let's go for the next question. What is it saying? The membrane system of chloroplast, the membrane system of chloroplast is responsible for trapping the light energy and also for the synthesis of ATP and NADPH. Okay, which is true. In stroma lamellae, enzymatic reaction synthesizes sugar, which in turn forms the starch. Nah, it occurs in the stroma, not in the stroma lamellae. So this is wrong. So what would be the answer? B would be our answer. B would be our answer. Let's see the last question. Let's see the last question, which says dark reaction occurs only in darkness and they are not light dependent. What absolute rubbish. Okay, dark reaction occurs only in darkness and they are not light dependent. Okay, which is absolutely incorrect, right? It does occur very much in the daytime. Biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis is dependent on the products of the light reaction, that is ATP and NADPH, besides carbon dioxide and water. Okay, what am I saying? Biosynthetic phase of photosynthesis is dependent on the products of light reaction. Yes, these two are the light reaction besides carbon dioxide and water, which is absolutely true. So the answer would be C. Okay guys, see, we have seen nearly 25 assertion and reasoning questions, and we have seen roughly about 15 statement based questions. If you have seen, these are literally the lines of the NCERT and there is no ambiguity. Usually whenever we are doing assertion and reasoning, there is always the room for that confusion whether it is explaining or not. But in the questions that we discussed so far, I don't think so there is no any confusion. So thanks for listening and see you next time with a different lecture. Thank you very much.